All right, let's discuss this further then. We're discussing relations between South Africa and Zimbabwe. And we're now joined in the studio by Victor Kgomoeswana. He is with the University of Limpopo. A very good afternoon to you, Victor. A pleasure to have you live with us in the studio today.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here.
Yeah, let's talk about this then. What is your reaction? I mean, we're talking, off air just briefly about how this is really actually becoming a little bit of an issue here. Your reaction then to the extension of these permits?
It was inevitable, Flo. And I really feel sorry for Minister Motsoaledi because he's a hands-on man who does things, he gets things done, but unfortunately he's dealing with an international migration. There were 200 million people all over the world who are migrating. They don't all want to come to South Africa. They're running away from crises that are not going to be solved by simply saying your permit has expired. So if I wish we would understand that the stuff people are running away from when they come here, compared to the threat of going to jail, is chalk and cheese. So when you threaten somebody with going to jail for being here illegally, you are giving them a holiday, Flo.
Yeah. When you say that they don't necessarily want to come to
South Africa. What I'm saying is there are people who are migrating to Europe, there are people who are migrating all over, 200 million people, and they are refugees of sorts. I know they might not qualify as refugees, but they are running away from conditions that some of us wouldn't survive for a day.
Yeah.
What I'm asking, I commend the minister for being practical because he wasn't going to do anything. And my worry is though when he says there won't be any further extension, because what he's going to do, he's going to drive them underground. Remember, the reason they are not able to go ahead and enforce the deadline expiring is that the uptake was too low, which means too few people came up. You know what it is like? What it reminds you of? COVID vaccine. Go and vaccinate and nobody shows up. You won't get into the soccer stadium if you're not vaccinated. You won't be able to travel. What happened now? We are all traveling, we are all going to soccer stadium and nobody's enforcing vaccination. So what I'm saying is, by saying there won't be further extension, he's driving everybody underground. The Zimbabweans or Mozambicans or Congolese who are here are looking at South Africans defy all kinds of laws every day and getting away with it. Now, if you don't even know who they are and where they are, how are you going to deal with them?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting you talk about other countries on the continent. With Zimbabwe being given a special permit to South Africa, does this not sort of set some sort of a precedence in that other countries, particularly in the SADC region, might then be asking, well, we should also be getting those special permits, and also how much can South Africa continue to take in? You know what I mean?
The problem with Zimbabwe is the number of Zimbabweans as a proportion of the migrants who are coming into South Africa. Remember, we share a border. We are both along the busiest route in Africa, which is N1.
Yeah. Let's
step back. I liked what Minister Patla said. I will send the bill to President Mnangagwa. No, don't laugh it off. It actually should be done, because think about it. If Minister Motsoaledi and Minister Patla worked together and said, we're not going to chase anybody out, we're going to make you all official, that we know who you are.
Yeah.
And we will go to the government of Zimbabwe, of Congo, or whatever, and say, we have your people in our country. We're going to charge you a fixed fee per citizen of your country. Isn't that what you do when you go abroad? The travel company says we sell insurance, 600 Rand. You pay it in case you get hospitalized. You don't get hospitalized, it's not refundable. What I'm asking is, there's no convenience, there's no comfort, there's no wisdom in chasing people when our border is so long and is so porous. Because enforcing immigration laws takes Homeland Security officials who are not corruptible. What has Minister Motsoaledi, bless him, been dealing with? He has been dealing with corrupt Home Affairs officials, people who are happy to issue fake ID documents. So yes, he will arrest them, and I commend him for wanting to enforce the law, but he's got a team that's going to let him down all the time. So I would rather you say, you know what, make everybody official, at least you know where they are, you've got their fingerprints, You know where they stay. Well, you won't know where they all stay, but at least if there's a crime committed, you have their fingerprints. But most of all, you can hold their home country accountable for expenses. And if the home country can't afford, United Nations and a whole lot of our humanitarian organizations can chip in and assist. Otherwise, it's not going to. I can tell you, he will be here 6 months later, saying the uptake has been even lower. Maybe there'll be more problems, and we will be back to square one.
Well, let's talk then about the relations between the two countries, South Africa and Zimbabwe. And the reason I'm actually speaking to this is also because you would have heard the health MEC in Limpopo. She's had a number of things to say, even what you're saying when it comes to sending the bill to Mnangagwa, for example. And it seems that President Cyril Ramaphosa actually, supported, what had been said there. So it then brings me back to, are we seeing some sort of problems between the two countries? Are there perhaps some sort of underlying tensions that are not maybe being spoken about?
And again, MEC Ramathuba, a good doctor, a good MEC. Yeah. When you're under pressure to provide services in a frontier province like Limpopo, remember Limpopo shares the border with Mozambique, with Botswana, and with Zimbabwe. Now, anybody who comes into the country illegally from anywhere in Southern Africa is going to touch Limpopo at one point or another. Right. It's a very difficult province to run. Now, if you have a healthcare system that is overloaded, you're going to be under pressure and say something that maybe shouldn't have been said. But the substance of what she said is exactly what Minister Phaahla said. There's no reason why, if we know you're Flo Letoba, you're South African, and you're in Zimbabwe or you're in England, we shouldn't send your country the bill for treating you if you hadn't made provision for it. That's why I gave you the example of insurance. I don't think there's anything that Zimbabwe and South Africa can do. They are neighbors. They share a border. Yeah. They have many cultural and historical links that we are tied together. The Limpopo River is not something that really says anything. There are people across both rivers who are together, and they have been together for a long time. And that's why I'm saying maybe what Minister Phaahla and MEC Ramathuba said should be explored rather than just laughed off.
Yeah, and what do you make of the recent views by the ANC on immigration laws, especially looking at the issue of immigrants from Zimbabwe, and why has the immigration issue become sort of, I want to say, a sort of top priority or talking point, and why now? It seems politicians, we're talking about it a lot now.
I don't take politicians seriously. not when they do campaigning, when they have a national conference, because I never know what they say and what they mean and what they're going to do. Every time there is a campaign coming, an election coming, people look for issues that are touch point, flash points, and they're going to whip up emotions. I don't think it's a responsible thing to do, because, hey, Africa has problems, and those problems aren't going to be found by keeping people out of this, keeping out of. You're pushing against the current here, because we have our own problems that we should work together. I would say if the ANC wants to do anything and be the leading movement that it is on the continent, it should get a lot more Pan-Africanist in thinking. By that I mean, let's understand what the problems Africa is facing and work jointly to find solutions. But to start using the ticket of immigration as a remember Herman Mashawa, Action SA was big on immigration, and now you had Operation Tutula and you have EFF, which is pushing back against Operation Tutula. Yeah. I suspect it might just be one of those. But like I say, politicians, political activists, I don't take them too seriously now. I'm more interested in the humanitarian issue. I'm interested in the economic crisis that we are facing if we don't solve this problem.
All right, Abutu Victor, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you very much for giving us your time, as always, here on SABC News. That is analyst Victor Kgomoeswana. I almost said Dr. Victor. All right, so thanks very much once again to you.